Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I want to talk to you about contracts, specifically 10 things that your design contract must have. Now there are proposals and there are contracts, and these two documents are different. Proposals contain things like the objective of the project that you're going to do. It contains the scope of work and the phases of work and the activities that you're actually going to do when you're doing the project. It also includes the calendar, the timeline, and the price for the project. Now, contracts are different. Contracts are legal documents that really outline the terms and conditions of the project. This is the CYA, or the cover your ass document, that if when things go bad, it's going to cover you legally. Now, this is a caveat. I have to tell you, I am not a lawyer, and this video does not constitute legal advice in any way. But these are elements that I have in my design contract that I want to make sure you're aware of, so when you're writing up your contract, your terms and conditions, you're including these aspects. Now, on the whole, ideally what you'd want to do is you want to hire a lawyer in order to write your terms and conditions. But you can also get great templates for terms and conditions and design contracts on sites like LegalZoom. So I want you to be aware of that. Now let's get into the 10 must-haves of your design contract. Now, number one is alterations. Alterations to the proposal or to the phases. If the design project changes in some way while the project is going on. In the industry, we like to call this scope creep. So is the scope of the project going to change or somehow expand while the project is going on? You want to make sure that you outline in your terms and conditions alterations. If there are alterations to the project, how those are handled. Number two is billing and invoices. This has to do with the money that's involved in the project. Of course, you're going to take a deposit, some sort of financial deposit on the work before you start. So this outlines how much money that is and when that's going to take place. It also outlines things like the final payments, when the final payment is made, and also if they're late on that final payment, are there any payment late fees? Those are the sorts of things that are outlined in the billing and invoices section. Now, number three is called OOPS. And OOPS is an acronym that stands for Out-of-Pocket Expenses. There may be out-of-pocket expenses, things that are outside of the scope of the deliverables of the project that you're actually doing, that you're going to have to pay for when you're doing the project. This could be something as simple as paying for parking when you go to a meeting with your client. It could be travel. It could be meals while you're traveling, or lodging, hotel bills while you're traveling. It could be airfare. It could include things like shipping the final deliverable to the client. Anything that is out of the scope of the normal part of the proposal of the contract would be included in OOPS. And so you want to make sure that when you're having your client sign your terms and conditions, that it's very clear how the out-of-pocket expenses are going to be handled, who's going to pay for them, what's included, and what's not. Now, number four is cancellation. This is a really important one. If the project gets canceled at any stage of the game, it could be canceled after they've paid a deposit and something changes in the business and they can't go forward with a project and they have to cancel it. But you've done groundwork before you actually got started. Or you're in the middle of the project and something happens and they decide to cancel it. Maybe they're unhappy with the work, maybe something changed within the business or some sort of focus, and they want to cancel the project. The project might be in a stage of work in progress, right? So you want to make sure that this is outlined in your terms and conditions. We also call this kill fees. So if the project gets killed for any reason, what's going to happen? Who's going to pay for it? How much of the deposit do you get to keep? What is the kill fee? You want to make sure this is outlined in a crystal clear fashion in your terms and conditions. Number five is ownership. Ownership is also a really important part of the contract because this outlines who owns the work and when. For instance, you may want to outline that you own all of the design work up until the point that they pay the final invoice, and then that ownership is turned over to the client. You also want to be crystal clear about who owns copyright. Are you transferring copyright to the client after they pay that final invoice? Or for some reason, are you retaining some sort of copyright? Also in the ownership section, it outlines who owns the conceptual work. So all of the different variations that you go through in a design project that are outside of that final one that they choose, that final deliverable, who owns all that conceptual work. You want to make sure that that's very clear too. You want to make sure that the client understands that the conceptual work that you've done, all the variations of that logo design, for instance, that they didn't choose, that they don't own those. They only own the one that is delivered to them that's outlined in the proposal. Ownership is a critical thing to outline and make sure that you define within your contract. So I wanted to take a quick break and tell you about a great group that I've started. I started a private Facebook group called Brand Design Masters. If you head over to facebook.com/groups/Brand Design Masters, you can apply to become a member of the Brand Design Masters Facebook group. It's a great community of creative professionals who are networking with each other and sharing resources and news, getting feedback on their work, sharing tools and trends. It's a really vibrant community, and I invite you to come over and apply and be part of it. All right, so let's jump back into the 10 must-haves for contracts. Number 6 is storage. It's a little bit of a boring one, but it's important because you have to outline and make very clear how long you, as the creator, are going to maintain the files for the project. You will deliver final files to the client when they pay the final invoice, but then you want to outline in your contract how long you will actually maintain those files before you can dispense with them. You want to outline that. Usually it's about a year, but make sure that that is in your contract. Number 7 is responsibility. Responsibility usually has to do with copywriting. Who's responsible for proofreading the copy on whatever it is that you're delivering? This is critically important when it comes to long documents like corporate reports or things that are going to be produced that are expensive like package design. You want to make sure that it's clear that the client is responsible for final proofreading before things go to press. That puts the onus on them on making sure that any of the technical data, the nutritional data, whatever it is that's going into that printed material is accurate, and that's not on you. Because if you don't outline this, a package could go to production, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they discover something that's wrong in the nutritional information. That could be a legal liability for them. Do you want that coming back to you? I don't think so. So you want to make sure that you outline really clearly where the responsibility lies. Now, number 8 is publication. This is an important one because you want to outline and be very clear about whether you have the rights to show the work that you're doing. Some clients may have you sign an NDA and won't want you to put their work in your portfolio online or any place visible to the public. You want to make sure that it's outlined clearly whether you have the rights or not to show the work that you've done for them. Number 9 is indemnification. Indemnification is important because it outlines if there is some sort of legal battle, if something goes wrong and people decide to sue each other, who's going to pay the lawyers? Lawyers, as you know, are very expensive, so you want to make sure that it's outlined really clearly in your contract if there is some sort of legal altercation that takes place because of this project, who's going to pay for it? Number 10 is termination. Termination is important because it outlines when does the contract end? When do the terms and conditions no longer apply? In my contract, I actually have a clause that says when you, Mr. Client, sign these terms and conditions actually apply to every single project that I will be doing for you until we notify each other in writing that we're done with the terms and conditions. So that way, when I do multiple proposals or multiple projects for a particular client, I don't have to go back and get them to sign the terms and conditions every single time. Those terms and conditions kind of cover and blanket any project that I do for them. So you can get a clause like that written into your contract so you don't have to go through the terms and conditions of the contract phase every single time. It's very handy, but you want to be really clear about when the contract ends. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video on the 10 things that your design contract must have. And if you did enjoy it, hit subscribe and make sure to bang that notifications bell so you can get alerted when I post something new or when I go live. And if you need help with your brand strategy, your brand design, or maybe some coaching in your creative professional career, reach out to me at philipvandusen.com and let's see what we can do to take you to the next level. And with that, thanks again for watching. Bye for now.